Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Patty G Show. We talk restoration recovery, we talk cats, and flooding. All that to come this week with Renee from Superior Contract Cleaning. Stay tuned for an incredible episode brought to you by Falaya, Lakeman's Health Center, PB&J Productions, and Cortex.
So, I mean, that's all fine and fun, but what is the cat house story?
Oh, the cat house.
Yes, the cat house story.
So I got a call for a general cleanup. It was very much like pitched that way. Like it's just a general cleanup from not living there. We have some boxes and, you know, we might have a little bit of damage that we have to deal with. But so I got there to assess it and we couldn't open the door. There was things blocking the door.
A little bit
right.
of trash.
No, it blocked the door. So I tried to peek in, and I could quickly see this was a situation that was it was a full remediation from hoarding. Not just that, but there was about 30 cats.
30?
At least, in various forms of life and death.
And death?
Yes. There were even ashes with names of kittens or cats or whatever. So,
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait, ashes?
Ashes.
Like someone...
We were sure hoping they weren't people.
You thought it was people ashes?
At first we did. But then then we realized...
I mean, but that's a very small pile of ashes for a cat as opposed to what I've never seen a pile of ashes for a human.
This is a cat.
But I imagine it's got to be a little bit bigger than, like a cup of ashes.
Yes.
So you, okay.
So we remediated. We really just had to gut the whole house. What do you do
with cat ashes? Do you just like scoop it up, put it in a Ziploc bag?
They were already bagged.
Wait a minute. So somebody was living here, actively disposing of the dead cats.
Correct. In fact, as we got through the house, past the swimming pool that was full of kitty litter, past the room that had fur hanging from the chandelier.
Hold on. That's a lot to take in just 1 minute. Back up to the pool of kitty litter.
Yep.
Back up
an
to
entire baby pool of kitty litter that was mounded. It was mounded. And the walls looked like fur walls. Fur just clung to the walls and hung from the chandelier. It was just a beautiful house with cypress beams and, it was wood floors, which we had to remove.
And the beams. Did you have to remove the beams?
We didn't. We remediated, I would say, about 3/4 up is what we had to do because of the cat urine.
Obviously.
Ate through
the sheetrock and everything. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
But as we moved through the house, we discovered, yes, indeed, somebody did live in the little space of bed. It was probably the size of just your body. Mm-hmm. In the master bedroom in the back.
Did you come across this person?
No, but we saw indications that there was somebody
was living there.
Yep. Somehow they were getting in the house and staying in the house. And you have to understand, we went in with full respirator.
I was about to say, you got to go in with like a scuba tank or something.
Right. Everybody wore full Tyvek, full respirator, all protection. Yeah. And this person was in the back sleeping.
Wait, so you did come across the person?
It was
you're saying whenever they were there, they were just coming in.
Correct. Oh, yes. So I think, so at the time, that was a long time ago. I used to hire from halfway houses, people that were in recovery, and I would have the people that ran the house would tell me, Joe's got solid recovery, he can help you. Well, one day I dropped my crew off and they said, look, you can't come and get them anymore for this job because after you bring them back, our whole therapy session is about your job.
Like they need therapy from working?
Yes.
Well, I mean, when you walk into a house with 30 cats in various stages of life and bags of ashes, you need to talk to somebody about that.
This is just mind-blowing.
And that's just one house.
Yes.
Holy smoke. So the halfway houses said thanks, but no thanks.
Thanks, but no thanks.
We don't want you employing our people.
So that's just one of my jobs.
My gosh.
I've had many hoarding jobs are generally the ones that you're going to get a story from, because there's
How many hoarding jobs do you go
we've
on?
done a lot of hoarding jobs, multiple different types, animals. I've done a dog hoarding situation, birds, cats.
And they just like hoard animals?
Yes.
And so you just walk in with the same scene, just
Usually
various stages of life.
Yep. Well, or, somebody a family member has intervened, or the city has intervened. And, they've cleared it, and then maybe we're left with the birds. They had cleared them. I didn't have that. But the damage that they've caused, animals can cause a lot of damage left to their own accord,
They're animals.
They're animals.
So I'm gonna be stuck on this whole cat ashes.
See, you need therapy.
Wow. I'm just curious how they did it.
Oh, it
Like,
obviously
was there a whole setup that you could see that's where they handled that part of the business for the cats?
No, they were everywhere. They were everywhere.
Right.
The business was everywhere.
Jeez.
Yep. And we had, and of course, animal people had come out and got them in the cages, and we had to deal with the remediation end of it, which is the aftermath of the damage.
Right. I mean, that has got to just be a traumatic opening the door to realize that that's the case that you're walking into, and not what the homeowner is describing as a few boxes.
Just a couple boxes. Yeah, a general cleanup.
Yeah. I'm curious, did you ever go back to the homeowner and ask them, did they actually know the current state of the house?
So we had meetings. She understood. She was a child psychologist, by the way.
She was like, oh yeah, there's just a couple of boxes. You can do it.
And she wasn't the homeowner. So she was doing this, I think, because the actual homeowner, who was her ex-husband, had kind of seen the situation and had to get it rectified. So, yeah, we had meetings.
You had a game of telephone happening, and you were finally like, hey, here's some pictures.
Here's the deal.
Like walk into like an interrogation room and throw down a file of photos. Like, here's your couple of boxes.
Yeah.
You want to change the statement a little bit?
I ended up dealing with the homeowner, the ex-husband, more than because obviously there was a little disconnect there.
Well, just a little. I mean, I would say we have a few boxes in the studio, but however, you're not going to find dead cats in their ashes sprinkled across the studio.
No, I hope not. Else you need to call Superior Contract Cleaning.
Correct. My goodness. So what? I mean, that story that's gonna be stuck with me forever. So what made you get into this line of work?
So, I guess it was about 1997. I came across somebody just in passing that was a friend of a family member, and she was moving from Dallas, and she did construction cleanup in Dallas, and she was moving to Lafayette to be with her family. And she said, I was a young widow. I was a widow at 27.
Wow.
So I was, raising my children, but looking towards the future about what I would do. And I was raised by business owners. They had their own business. So I have that mentality already, that I could do, I could be in charge of my own future. I could do whatever I chose to do. So she said, I can teach you the business if you're interested in learning. And I absolutely, I used to work for Doug Ashey, which was a building contractor. So I knew a lot of contractors. And so before I even really knew anything about anything, I met with contractors and got the business, and then learned the business on the job. Which it wasn't rocket science, but she was a good teacher. We weren't together long, probably less than 6 months, but we had acquired many accounts, including River Ranch. That's a neighborhood in Lafayette. And I told her, this isn't working out, but you go ahead and take them all. I'll just keep River Ranch. River Ranch exploded, which I knew it was, but and that got me started on construction cleanup. Then I moved into coatings on concrete because I had a lot of subcontractor friends, and they were looking for somebody that could do this. You know, you could say it's part of a cleaning process, coatings. So I did that for several years, and then I met a man out of Baton Rouge who did fire, flood, and mold. And he didn't actually do the work. I had employees. He just was himself, but he had a contract with State Farm. So I did the work, and he subcontracted me to do the work. So that's what got me into remediation.
Okay. So you're like, let's just drop all this new construction and construction.
I did it all. I still did it.
So you still did everything?
I did everything.
Wow. So how did you start to balance that?
That was difficult, especially by myself. You start looking at margins of what your profit margins are, and you select your jobs. Not all jobs are lucrative. Not all big jobs are lucrative. So I was selective on my work. It did take a little bit of a learning curve there. I had burnout. Definitely got through a period that was rough. But, that's when I kind of had to conclude I don't have to say yes to every job.
Right.
And I can just, I've done enough work to know which ones are going to make a good bit of money and what is, just wasting my time. So finding that balance was a little tough, but we do it.
Do it as best you can.
Yep. And I didn't have as many employees as I have now. So my employees now, they're all certified. They know what they're doing. I don't have to worry about them. They handle the jobs very well.
So certification, what kind of certifications do they have to get for this?
So in the state of Louisiana, to be able to charge for mold remediation, you have to be licensed. You have to have a certification for both the company as well as you have to have a designated person with your company too. My mitigation manager is a triple master restoration technician, which means she's less than 1% of water remediation technicians in the United States. She did it in 5 years. She's a go-getter.
Wow. Okay, so
she's very respected nationally.
I guess so. I mean, if you're top 1%, yeah.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%. Like, you've got to be really, really good at what you do.
And she's a girl.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, as your team has grown, yes, you've obviously had to build up more managers and more leaders to help kind of remove some of that pressure from you. At what point were you at that you realized you had to bring on somebody to a management position that you couldn't handle every single job yourself?
That's hard for me to even, so backing up a little bit, my son ended up helping me and loving the restoration industry. So he actually owns his own restoration company now. And he learned it through working with me, alongside of me. So I had him. And then we just saw particular qualities in the people that we employed. And Jessica, my mitigation manager now, I recognized the qualities that she had, that she was responsible. She just absorbed information very quickly, and it stuck. And she just was like a sponge. She wanted to learn, and that's why she's got the certifications that she does, because she was driven to do it. So I look for those kind of qualities in somebody. I recognize it as just an inert kind of thing, and everybody that is employed by me has that personality. They're just very responsible. They take our work very seriously, and they're really motivated to make the job successful.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about them.
Right. I mean, you've clearly done a great job of that, considering the fact you've been on Inc. 5000 for 3 years.
Two. Wish it was 3. Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So
2021 and 2022, 2 years running. Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, how did that come about? How did you get involved with that piece and get your name out there on that list?
Yeah, it was actually my son. He said, I want to see if we let's see if we, what is it called? not earn the right, but let's put our information in and see what happens. And they notified us that first year we were top 1,200 out of 5,000. It's crazy. Incredible. Yeah, I was shocked myself.
You're like, how can a little old company out of Lafayette, Louisiana, get that high up on the list?
Now, the second year, I didn't do myself justice because I entered into a different bracket.
Okay.
Which was a much more popular bracket. I can't remember what it was, but the first year was in environmental. The second one, I think, was something in business. So it's not really apples and apples because it wasn't in the same brackets, but we still... It was like 2,400, I think, out of 5,000.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And the first year, we were number 1 in the state.
Really? For the environmental category?
Yep.
That's impressive.
Because it breaks it down, not just nationally, but
and it goes
state
locally.
to state.
Okay. So you beat out everybody in the state. I love that.
We were calling our friends.
Absolutely. Send everybody a
No,
link
we
or a
definitely
magazine.
made the most of it for sure.
Oh, absolutely. That's what was today your marketing day, right? And so that moment was your marketing moment.
That was my marketing moment for sure. Yeah, that was a proud moment. Like I said, it shocked me. You just do day-to-day basic activities. You just keep working. You just keep moving. You just keep trying to do the best you can. So you just don't think of it as like that big of a deal. And when he said it, I was like, well, okay, we'll try. We'll enter. But we'll see. I was shocked.
Yeah.
So all that hard work pays off.
Yeah, I mean, patient and diligent too. I mean, that didn't happen your first or second year.
No.
It took time to get there, and then once you're there, you kind of get caught up in those day-to-day operations where you don't even take the moment to step back and look and say, "Oh man, we did a pretty good job there."
Yep, and I think he my son, he was stepping back. He was looking at this. He's seen me from the beginning, so he recognized that this was an incredible thing.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely an incredible thing.
Yep.
So, and then 2016 happened.
Yes. 2016. So we had just purchased a piece of equipment. It's called a truck mount. It's what it is. It's if you've ever seen a surface cleaner for concrete, they surface clean like parking lots and stuff. It's like a big round thing. Well, it's like that. It sucks up water. It also puts down hot water. Hot water is for cleaning hard surfaces, floor surfaces. So it's got a vacuum system too. It sucks up water. So we had bought it, I want to say, less than a month before 16 flood happened. So we probably helped over 100 families in a week. Just sucking up water. That's all we did. Sucking up water and sanitizing. Sometimes, people just did what they could themselves. So sometimes we just go in and have to sanitize, suck up some water and sanitize. But sometimes people were already removing the materials from their house because they weren't going to mess around. So, but other times we had to remove the materials, sanitize, and dry. So that's kind of the basics of remediation: is remove, clean, and dry.
Yep.
So yes, that truck mount was allowed us the ability to help so many families. We were up by the Amite River. I would say 3/4 of the week we were, because that just got affected so badly up there. There was some loss of lives. It was a very traumatic, sad situation, but we were glad we were able to help so many.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy looking back at the 2016 flood, what transpired and how quickly it all happened. I remember going to a friend of mine's parents or grandparents' house, and we would just lay out sandbags because we knew it was we could start to see the water come to the backyard.
Right.
And then literally overnight it was 4 feet.
Right.
And we're sitting there trying to sandbag as much as we can.
And just can't stop it.
And we had one breach out of like the wall, and like we were able to cover it up, but like everything else we had ultimately ended up saving the house.
You did.
But then as soon as like the stars started going back down, we then started just going around and just helping everybody that we could.
Right.
Just like you said, remove,
Yep.
dry,
Remove, clean, and dry.
clean and dry. That was it. And then once that happened, you had the flood happen in Houston.
Yes. We were there.
Or in, Houston. And,
Yep.
And around.
That was Harvey, I think.
Yes. It was Harvey. And so we had a very similar situation. My in-laws lived out in the Woodlands, Texas. And we had to go up there, and it was like a all too familiar scene where I'm just...
Here we go again.
4 feet. Cut,
Right.
pull,
Right.
get everything out,
Right.
and then take it from there.
That's right.
This episode of the Patty G Show is brought to you by Cortex. Cortex is the trusted technology partner for small businesses across Louisiana, delivering managed IT, cybersecurity, and smart strategies to help you leverage AI without the confusion. I mean, aren't we all confused by AI nowadays? As a locally owned company, we understand the challenges Louisiana businesses face and provide tailored solutions that keep your operations secure and efficient. Whether you're looking to strengthen your cybersecurity or explore how AI can give your business a competitive edge, Cortex is here to help. Be sure to mention the Patty G Show and receive a free cybersecurity risk and analysis to see where your business stands. And so on y'all's end, when we have people that were doing that within the community, it's all volunteer driven, right? But you're an organization, you're a business.
Yeah.
How do you handle the delicate situation that it is of you're a business and you're there to make money, but you're also there to help people in that time of need?
Yeah, it is difficult. It takes a specific type of language. You empathetic. Obviously, we're human. And we've all experienced. A lot of us have experienced it. If you haven't, a close family member has it. So we just work with our client as best as we can. If we have to put them on a payment schedule, a credit card, work with their insurance. We don't bill the insurance. I mean, technically we do, but we're billing on for the customer. We're providing the documentation required for them to get payment back, reimbursement. So we just work. Each client is a bit different. Each situation's a bit different, especially during flood. It's kind of, if you got a broken pipe or, a fire or, some kind of something like that, that's kind of clean, cut and dry. It's going to be covered under your insurance, and we have a process that we go through. Right. That's pretty standard. But with flood, and then of course insurance is getting tougher and tougher on flood insurance.
Especially in Louisiana.
Yes.
I mean, we had some friends of ours that had, I want to say 3 or 4 feet, maybe 6 feet of water in their house, and insurance made them raise their house 12 feet.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
12, and they did. They raised their entire house.
Can you imagine what the cost was on that?
Oh,
and that's out of pocket.
And just absolutely insane that in order for them to stay within coverage, they would have to raise their house 12 feet. On a piece of property where nobody had houses raised at all. It was, a bunch of slab houses. But because it was that, once in a millennium flood that just absolutely wiped people out, and insurance said, sorry, we're in it to make money, and it's not going to make us money if you keep your house at that height. That's
right. And one shocking thing, I guess that was even for me as I'm a consumer too,
Right.
Look into your policies for named floods, because your deductible is going to be a lot different than a normal deductible when it's a named storm.
How so?
Much higher.
So it's higher for a named
much higher.
storm.
You're looking at about a $10,000 to $17,000 deductible sometimes. So definitely look into your policy. We're in hurricane season right now. I would advise everybody get their policy out, review their policy, see what's coverage, see what your deductible is for a named storm versus not. But you should know what it is for not. But for a named storm, it is different.
So it's crazy. So you have a higher deductible for a named storm.
Correct.
I'm guessing because they're assuming some federal or state funding is going to come in and help you cover that premium.
I have no idea what their logic is, but that is a fact.
I mean, or, I guess a named storm is generally going to be a lot worse.
Tough. Yeah, it's going to.
And so the damage is going to be a lot worse.
That's right.
They're going to have to come out of pocket a lot more than just a normal
volume.
Storm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you also have the situation of insurance providers just straight up leaving our state.
That's right.
And I remember at one point back when I had bought my house, I think it was or right around like before 16 flood, you had insurance
Yes.
companies all over the place.
Not so much right now.
I think you have like one or two
Right.
for flood.
Yep.
And that's it. It's like one or two people, and they're the only ones, and you got, a monopoly on the market because it is just one or two companies.
I'm a big advocate on insurance reform. We definitely need insurance reform in this state.
It definitely needs to be looked at and had a conversation around.
Yes.
Because you've got a lot of people that just aren't getting it, and then when they don't get it, and there's an accident, something happens, then everybody else's rates are going to end up going up.
We definitely need more competition.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of across the board from like service providers.
Correct.
Because if you look at some neighboring states, and you have a utility set up, you basically have your pick between 3, 4, 5 different entities. Whereas here you've got 2.
Yeah. Right.
At best.
Right. Yep. We need more industry, more insurance. That's my big deal. Insurance providers there's, like you say, there's just a few. So we don't have the coverage that we need is not there. They don't have to provide it. It's their game.
Right. And they're the ones setting the policies.
That's right.
So what was it like experiencing a similar situation that we know about hurricanes and flooding outside of the state and your interactions with the different agencies there? Y'all went up to Texas, it sounds like, and there are some other storms that y'all have helped people with outside of the state.
Yeah, we've been to North Carolina, Florida. Florida's tough. Texas. We've even gone to Iowa because they had
what happens in Iowa?
Yeah, right. It was an anomaly. I cannot remember the name of what it's called, but it's an inland hurricane. It starts with a Z, and it ruined schools there. This was probably 2019, maybe.
A Z.
Yeah, it starts with a Z. It's a long name. And it's an inland hurricane.
Okay.
And so sometimes we are a small company specializing in specialty type of tasks associated with remediation. We don't always have to do the full job. So we work for a company, moisture mapping. It's called moisture mapping. It's basically that. You go around the structure and map out where the moisture is, and you have specific software for that. So that's what we were doing up there for that company, is we were moisture mapping those schools so that we can remediate properly, because that way you're removing the materials that are specifically damaged, not just randomly.
Well, yeah, because we saw that in 16. You had homeowners that just didn't really know what all they were doing, and they were just ripping stuff out.
And they didn't need to.
And they didn't need to.
Or to the level that they did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've got some people that are just like, we'll just rip the whole wall out. It's like you really don't need to go to 4 feet or so.
Yeah, we like to take about 2 feet from the damage.
Okay.
That's what's acceptable for insurance to reimburse our clients. Now, the contractor may come back and take that whole sheet out because it just makes more sense.
Right.
But for our part in it, 2 foot allowance is standard.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to take out more than you absolutely have to.
Right.
So when y'all went to Iowa and to North Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were y'all seeing out there, and what were y'all able to do for those folks?
So we worked the Wilmington, Surf City area in North Carolina, and we probably helped about 35 people, families. Once you get in an area, you kind of end up working a whole pocket, maybe whole families, or families and neighbors. It's a very rewarding thing to do, because this is probably the most traumatic time in these people's lives, and you're able to help them through it. So it's a rewarding career. And I think everybody that works for me or in this industry knows what I'm saying by, yes, it's a for-profit business, but that's not what your focus is. Your focus is on your client and helping them get through and get that property back to the pre-loss condition, or at least close to it, for the contractor to take it over from there.
Yeah. And so do y'all have the other side of the business as well, where you're coming in and actually being the contractor rebuilding, or are you just on the front end?
Not us. Some restoration companies do, but Superior doesn't. We have a handyman license, so we can do small tasks like putting back baseboard, crown molding, or small. But if there's a roof to be repaired, we have contractors that we work with that have similar business model as us, where we can trust them to take it over from there. We work with a lot of trusted partners in different areas: plumbers, electricians, roofers, sheetrock painters, that kind of thing.
Welcome to the brand new Falia mobile app. We took all the same tech that's helped hundreds of people sell their homes themselves and packed it into an easy-to-use app for your phone. When you download the Falia mobile app on either the Apple or Android App Store, you'll immediately be able to see the power of this game-changing tool. From the seller's dashboard, you can navigate to all the information that you need. We intentionally separated everything into key groups, such as tasks to be completed, buyer leads for your listing, and contact information for everyone involved through closing. When you get an offer on your property, you can simply review and respond all within the app. No matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to monitor everything that's going on with your property from listed to sold. It's truly the power of Falia in the palm of your hand. Download the app and see for yourself. Falia, it's real estate reimagined.
Yeah, which the whole trades industry needs a little boost of people in it.
Yes. I don't know if it's because I've gotten more involved in that, but I am finding there are new companies, small little companies starting that I don't know if I didn't notice it before, but we're really networking with a lot of great companies lately. So I've got hope.
Good. That's exciting. I remember the day that there was like a billboard on Airline Highway or something. They were trying to find a plumber. It was a local plumbing company. And they were like, sign-on bonus.
Wow.
To come work for us.
They were just searching.
And it made like the news.
Wow.
Because people were like, a plumbing company offering a signing bonus? Like, you just don't hear about this. But it's true. Like, the whole trades profession just constantly needs more people because there's not a whole lot of folks talking about it because it's like really skilled labor.
Yes. And specific.
Skilled and very much skilled and specific. Like plumbing, electrical, carpentry.
Yes.
Like just absolutely, this is definitely a skilled labor pool that is still needed and still lucrative.
Right. And we like to find the ones that are trustworthy, and we can, just have them take over for when our tasks are done. We can just turn it over to them, and our customers are treated right. And it just adds to us as a company too. I can't tell you how many times we've gotten Google reviews from the people that we've, given our clients to use after we've left. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is like one of the worst events you showed up to outside of the cat house?
We were asked to go to Puerto Rico for Marie, and that was it was devastating. It was heart-wrenching. People's homes were just cut off at the top.
Wow.
Half the house was left. And that's house after house after house, which motivates you to continue working hard and keep helping more people. But it does get to you. So I think for us, and then they were just so grateful. They were feeding our guys lunch. Don't speak any English, but they were serving us up food.
Everybody knows when a hot plate shows up.
And food in Puerto Rico.
Ready.
Lord.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we had some wonderful homeowners in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Well, and then like to your point, you're not just going in there and doing a specific job. You're really like guiding the family through what they need.
Right.
And you kind of almost become like a counselor because they've lost everything, especially when you have half the house come off.
That's right.
Like there's just stuff you're not going to get back.
Right.
Memories,
That's right.
handed down items that have been passed down for however long. Like, it's just gone.
Yep.
And they don't know what to do. It was oftentimes we would show up to help somebody on a volunteer level, and they would just be like, I'd say, like, what do you need? And they would just look at you.
Yeah,
I don't even know. And
right.
so it's just
It's
like,
an emotional
okay,
experience.
we'll just go find some wet spots and cut out some sheetrock. And we'll
That's
just
it.
start there.
Yep. We just oftentimes are there just to be a sounding board.
Mm-hmm.
And that, people, they just want to know that you're going to be there for them. They can trust you and that you're going to do a great job. And just being there, letting them know that every step of the way, that's what matters most to them. Our managers are very communicative with our clients. It's very, very important to stay in communication with them because that is where they find their safe spot, and that will settle them down. The reality is harsh. Then they come to a level of acceptance, and then you just help them move through it best of our abilities.
Yeah, it's like once they get a game plan in place, they can kind of wrap their head around what needs to happen,
right,
and then start to move forward.
Right.
So, what is on the horizon for Superior Contract Cleaning?
Well, of course, we're just going to continue helping people, but we have a training room, so we are opening up the idea to other contractors to hold classes in our training room, which helps certifications help us as an industry in whole with legitimacy. So the more technicians that can get certified, even on a basic level, just helps with, like I say, the legitimacy of our industry, which at least about 5 years ago, there was a big media explosion about don't trust the industry. They could come take your money and run.
Yeah,
well,
don't trust the storm chasers.
That's right. So if you get certified technicians involved in your business, or you just keep your certifications up, there's a ton of education that comes with remediation. So that's kind of on our horizon, education, holding those classes and offering them to other restoration companies in our area.
Yeah, which is huge, having that education and that certification piece, because it's true. You can have somebody come to your house and say, oh, we can knock this out real quick. It'll be, whatever price it is. And then you say, great. And they go, we'll take, that payment up front.
Right.
And as a homeowner, as somebody, you're still trying to cope with what just happened.
Right.
And so you're not in the clearest of head spaces that you can be or that you normally are. And so you're looking for the first person that's going to help you out. And most of the time they may not have anything that will go wrong, but you still have those bad apples in there that do it.
Right.
And do it enough so there's still conversations like this being had of, whenever hurricane season comes, one of the ads that starts recirculated on TV and radio is check the licensure of your contractors.
Yep. See if they have the certifications for their technicians.
See if they got certification. See if they even have, COI, certificates of insurance for their organization.
Yep.
Because all that matters. And I'm sure, and you may be able to touch on this, is that there's going to be a list of approved contractors for insurance.
There is. And what I have to say about that is just like if you have an accident with your car, you have a choice. You do not have to go with a preferred vendor. You can go with the company that you trust the most. So do your research. It's hurricane season now. Do a little research and find a good, solid contractor in your area and save their phone number, because that is the phone number that you're going to need when when disaster strikes. So keep your insurance agent's number in your phone at the ready. Research your policy, see what your deductibles are, so you're prepared, see what your coverage is, and also research restoration professionals in your area.
Yeah, and kind of get a head start on who you can talk to, what businesses are going to be good, because to your point, if you go into one neighborhood when you have a storm event like that,
it's going to be the whole block. Like everybody's going to have a shared experience of what they went through.
That's right.
Whereas I'm sure you have, in the off season, you got folks that have the busted water pipes, that have the kitchen burns,
right,
that just need to have everything kind of remediated so they can rebuild and come
right,
back after the fact. It's going to be that one-off person. But then once you make that connection, then they at least have, okay, if we ever have a situation,
I got you.
These are the folks to call.
Mm-hmm, that's
like,
right.
This is who we want to come here. And so, yeah, you've got to have at least some form of person picked out or a thought about, oh, this business could do, this business could not.
Right.
Because you're going to have people just drive down the street and just knock on the doors and say,
Look,
you need any help?
Happens all. I mean, the restoration industry seems to attract. It's recession proof, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to need a restoration. You're going to need contractors. You're going to need restoration providers, because not everybody can remediate their home and shouldn't. So a cleaning company, just like a maid service, just all of a sudden decides, oh, I could do that. Or a dumpster company, or a plumbing company, or just random people pop up and think that they can do what we do. But we put a lot of time and education into our company, and you can be rest assured, if we're coming into your home, it's going to be remediated properly.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have the certifications and the licenses to do the job properly. So just be careful. Do a little research ahead of time, and that way you'll be ready.
Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Lake Men's Health Center with Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group. Guys, I know it's tough to get out and go to the doctor. I know it's challenging to find time in our busy days, but I promise you, signing up to be a part of this group with Dr. Curtis Chastain and Dr. Tyler Boudreau, you won't regret it for several reasons, but most of those being the fact of the time it saves, where you're able to get in on the same day, get that appointment done, and spend that time you need to talk with them about what your health goals and concerns are, as well as ensuring that the financial investments you have, you will be able to live out and see those come to fruition. So if you're an investing guy, you know all about and planning for the future and investing in the future. There's no other more important thing to invest in than your health. Make sure you go check them out, Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group Men's Health Center, and tell them Patty G sent you.
Have you ever had to go back behind somebody who's done some work and haven't had proper training or done the proper steps? I mean, how do you handle that as a company, because you're now faced with the homeowners already paid for this work, right?
Yeah.
They've already paid to have their house redone and remediated.
Sometimes the insurance hasn't even paid, and it's not been done properly. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's a difficult situation, and it's sad.
So, I mean, how does that end up unfolding?
Different projects differently, but sometimes they have to come out of pocket with the second dollar amount to get it remediated properly, so that their property isn't going to have mold growth from an improper remediation job. So if the insurance is paid out, that's on that claim, that's done deal. Yep.
And so they don't do a whole lot of, I guess, is it a thorough inspection that's been missed? Like, have you ever come into a situation where you're like, you should have noticed this? Why didn't they?
Oh, well, of course I would never tell a homeowner that, but...
Of course not. So allegedly.
Yeah, we just point out...
In the 20-something years.
Right, it is difficult, because you have to be so delicate about your verbiage. But
right.
Obviously, if a homeowner's calling us after they've been remediated and it's evident that maybe mold growth is happening after the fact, we're being called in, they're already upset. So we just try to work with the situation as best as we can without really dragging the previous company in through the mud too much. But
right. But at some point, you've got to state facts.
Yeah. The fact is, this should have been removed. Yes, right. We do say that. Factual. This should have been removed.
Yeah, which is how it should be handled. You shouldn't base it on, figuring out, okay, what's the emotional pull here?
Why didn't they do that?
Yeah, or asking why.
Yeah,
oftentimes people want to sit there and kind of analyze, okay, well, what caused this problem? And there's a degree that needs to occur of that, right? You got to figure out, okay, what's the ultimate root cause of this? But then you got to say, okay, well, let's put on our solutions hat.
That's exactly what we do.
Let's figure this out. Like, okay, we know it's this issue. We know it was caused by this, but let's not just hang ourselves up on that fact. Let's move forward with a game plan to actually get you out of this position.
Absolutely.
And get you back to normal.
100%.
You know, because after some of those storms, you had people living for months, if not a year,
Yes.
after the fact with just open walls.
Yes.
And a friend of mine had that happen. And it was just, you go to their house and they just have open walls.
Couldn't find a contractor?
Couldn't find a contractor. Because I feel like some contractors got in there, got paid, and got out. And then didn't stick around once they hit a certain number or something. Like, we got to make this much. Okay, we made it in a month. Great. We're all going on vacation. You know, we're all getting out of here. Or you've got other contractors that were just too busy and there weren't enough. And so then you get put on a wait list.
One situation through the 2016 flood just pops in my head all the time. It was so sad. So we got a call from an older gentleman, and he said, I don't know, I hired this contractor to come in, and I haven't seen him since. And I paid him just like $7,000.
Oh
We came, and they had little Home Depot or Lowe's dehumidifiers, like 3 or 4 of them. That's it. It was a huge house, just kind of randomly placed. And he said that he set up this equipment, and then I can't get a hold of him. So he didn't do a thing. He hadn't removed anything. He just set these 3 little home dehumidifiers up, collected his $7,000 and jetted.
Wow.
So
probably for sure licensed and accredited and certified.
Definitely.
No doubt about it. You know, very much on the up and up for sure.
Yeah, and it's easy, you know, when like I have an elderly father, and it's easy for them to trust because back in their day, the handshake meant something.
Right, and that was the deal. That's what you were doing everything on with the handshake. Absolutely.
So why would he? Yeah, he looked really straight in the eye, and he said he was going to be back, and he was going to do this and this and this, and I haven't heard.
Yeah, he just needs to go get. I need to go get supplies.
Yeah, right. So be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, you know, certifications, they don't guarantee everything, but at least this company's put in the money and the time into these technicians to get the education that's required to do the job. So I would say if you are looking around for a company, of course, call Superior Contract Cleaning.
Right.
You don't have to worry, but ask those questions. Are you licensed? Are you insured? Are your technicians certified? Those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, because it's true. Like, even if it doesn't solve everything, you at least know, okay, they're trying. They've put in effort to make sure that they're on the up and up.
Right.
So I like it. Well, before we get you out of here, we have a set list of questions we ask every guest.
Okay.
First one is, what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Run.
I always love the physical attribute answers because it's like it hits home. It's so true.
No. I wish my knees worked.
Like I feel like it's every time I stand up and squat down, my knees are just popping.
Yep.
So you know, I feel you right there. You've been doing this quite a long time. You've been running this organization, you know, as yourself and kind of growing it from the ground up. What are like 3 lessons you've learned along the way?
Listen to your gut, because what we had talked about earlier was not every job is your job. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't have to feel like you have to take every job. So if there's red flags, listen to them. That's not your job. Also, at the same time, try not to get defeated and just keep going. Just one foot in front of the other. Keep going. Do a good job. Think of your customer. But at the same time, you know, make sure that you're watching that bottom line too.
Right.
3, I guess it's important to take personal time to decompress, and whatever that may look like. You know, it doesn't have to be a Hawaii trip or whatever, Bahamas, but you know, if it's something that you feel is a little bit distracting, get your mind off of the work, you know, even if it's a half an hour of something, do it.
Yeah, I like it. What is something you love about Louisiana?
Joie de vivre. It's the food and the fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the people are wonderful.
Yeah. And it all comes together within the food and the fun.
That's it.
Well, for the final question, what can I do to help you?
Oh, so just get the word out to the general public that hurricane season's here. Do a little research, look into their policies, make sure they understand the policies and what's covered and their deductibles. Have everybody out there research your area, find a good contractor, put them in your phone, meet with them. This would be awesome.
Yeah.
If somebody called up me and said, I would like to meet with you because I'm interviewing you for my possibility of being my contractor if something happens to me.
Yeah, get them like almost on like a retainer. Like, hey,
That's right.
I want to meet with you and see what you're about so I can quickly make a call. Yeah, quickly make a call if I need to.
Right.
And have a good storm readiness plan.
That's right. That's what I suggest to everybody.
Absolutely. So we'll link up your email and everything else in the show notes. People can easily find you. So I appreciate you coming out today and
thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
It was wonderful.
Good deal.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you everybody else for listening or watching whatever platform or consuming us on. It is hurricane season. So do some research, get you a storm plan in place, call some contractors, vet them. I hear there's a good one called Superior over here. And so, yeah, just make sure that you're ready. If anything were to happen, you don't panic and you actually have a plan and you just act on your plan. So, y'all, this has been the latest episode of the Patty G Show. We'll see you here next week.